What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to bring you a little video and kind of walk you through some of the things that I like and that I don't like with the Autel Explorer app for this Autel Evo 2 Pro 6K. So this drone is actually a really cool drone. Obviously there's no geofencing, or for those that don't know, it has no geofencing like DJI, so that's a huge plus to this drone. And the still photography side of things to me are really great on this drone. The batteries are really amazing as well. So these big batteries last around 40 minutes, probably give or take, probably 35. But you definitely notice a longer flight time than you do with DJI. So that's a huge plus to this drone, as well as the no geofencing. But I want to just go ahead and get this thing in the air and kind of walk you through what I think is kind of not great with the Autel Explorer app. So not going to waste a lot of time. I'm going to hopefully make this a little quicker video, and we'll get this in the air. I'll start a screen recording, and this is the remote. Boop. That's the chime up sound for the Autel. Depress the power button on this remote, power this guy on, put my iPhone 12 Pro Max, so that's the actual phone I'm using, the device I'm using. I'm going to put in this little USB-A to lightning cable and get this thing up in the air. So let's start let me get this thing going. Start a screen recording. Screen recording initiated. Autel Explorer app. So this is the actual app. I'm going to make sure I'm still recording. You go into camera. I'm going to click out of this learning center because we don't need it right now. I'm going to go ahead and depress this little black area, the little target area in the upper left hand of this map to minimize it. And I'm going to hold this drone. I'm going to get it in the air. So left sticks towards each other, same as you would with any other drone like a DJI. And voila. Hopefully not right into a tree. And I'm going to go sit underneath the tree by the shade to actually fly and walk through this a little bit. So right now we have this antenna over there. I can fly over that way. Get a little altitude. So this is what you have to work with. Right now in the lower right hand corner you got this little up arrow. You click that and that will pull up all the settings. So right now we have the file size, we got the modes, we got the JPEG plus RAW, manual exposure, auto exposure, whatever we want. And aperture, so we have not a fixed aperture unlike the Air 2S. We have the ability to go from f11 all the way to 2.8. We're going to keep it at f11 for now. We got our shutter speed dialed in accordingly. We have right now ISO set to 100, which is optimal. And if I click in the lower right hand corner, this little camera icon, I have additional settings for the camera. So I got the grids, the little center point as you see here, histogram enabled, defog, ROI, don't need, overexposure warning, which is the zebra essentially. And we're going to keep that off as well. And that's really it. And I'm going to click back out of there. And some of the little bugs and things that I find annoying, so let me go in the auto focus right now. So it's an auto focus. Manual focus, it's actually pulling up for once this little dial. So there's a bug. I actually spoke with Autel, and in my last video, this little area, the little scroll area for the manual focus was not displaying properly. So they confirmed it's a bug in the app. Hopefully it'll be remedied in a firmware update, but again, kind of annoying that this isn't always popping up like it should. And if we click, in theory, we have this manual focus assist. So I should be able to click somewhere, and as you see, it's showing it, but I don't know. I think you're supposed to click somewhere on this screen, at least so I thought, and it was gonna get you zoomed in, and then you could actually focus with this dial. But regardless, I don't want this whole video to be about this. Just understand that this app is pretty buggy, And that's the reality of the Autel Explorer app. So one other thing, let me see. So if we're going ahead and flying, say we want to fly, where can we fly? So across the way, not too far, is a windmill. I can cruise over a little bit, raise up altitude, and you can see it, it's over there in the distance. So say we want to orbit this. There's two things. So if I'm going to go ahead and get footage of this guy, I'm going to get out of manual focus because I don't trust it. Let me get out of here. So you got to always scroll to find these settings. So there's no presets like we have with the Fly app. So we don't have a normal setting and a sports setting where you can just click the dial on the remote and actually have everything dialed for that specific mode, like our gimbal speed and everything. So every time I want to adjust the gimbal speed, I got to go in the top upper right-hand corner, this little gear, tap gimbal, and then do this little gimbal pitch EXP setting. So unless I'm missing something where you can assign this to a secret dial or something, you got to really change this every single time. And it will click, and that means it actually took the setting. So now let me go ahead, and as you see, it's pretty snappy. I mean, I think I have it dialed in with, let me see. I blink, it's over here in advanced settings. So my EXP, well, actually I don't. So let me go ahead and adjust these to 2.5. Why did it adjust everything now? I'll say 2.5. There we go. So it's all at least in the area, supposedly. But see, to me, that seems kind of snappy still. So I'm going to get out of manual focus, tap this, and if I go and try to do an orbit, let me start the screen recording. Not so bad, so I'm trying to keep that crosshair semi in the zone. Let me go a little faster. But you see, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to fly really well to me to dial in. So let me go over here back to advanced settings. I want to see if they actually stuck. So I don't know why they're adjusting from 25 to 20. So this was 25. Let me go to 20. Can I go 20? Yeah. 20, done. So they should all be set at 20, right? You see that. The x-axis represented the physical output of the command sticks, and the y-axis, blah, 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 a range 0.2, so that's where it's set at, to 0.7. And let's try this again, in orbit. Okay, so that seems all right. I'm going to try to raise the gimbal a little bit. The gimbal, to me, seems a little quick, but let me go back in and check these settings, and that's one of the things with the app. It doesn't seem to always take the settings, or they seem to get adjusted. So, okay, it's still at 0.20, that's good. But if we want to dial in the gimbal now and make that slower, I'm going to go ahead and dial it way down to like 3, and let's try to do a little orbit and then raise the gimbal. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. I'm going to make sure I'm still recording the screen. I am. I'm going to move the histogram out of the way, and I'm going to kind of fine tune. This is a manual orbit. I'm going to try to raise the gimbal. And not great. Let me go ahead and go the other direction and lower it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just me with the gimbal move, but I'm going to try to dumb it down even more to 1 and just see what happens. So it should be really slow in theory. So let me go in a clockwise direction. So I'm going to get the orbit going. Then I'm going to push up on the gimbal. And I don't know why it seems kind of choppy. Maybe it's smoother in the actual footage. And it still seems kind of fast, honestly, too. So there's that. But you can go in to precision mode and then dial this down and try to adjust the maximum height speed to like 2 miles an hour, for example. The maximum vertical speed. There's an ant crawling on my display. To 2. And then the rotation speed. Let's see the rotation speed right now. So this is supposedly at this 30 degrees. Let's go ahead and take it to 7. And it did slow it down. And you can't hide this. So this kind of stinks too, that I can't hide this actual thing, because to me it gets in the way. So that's one thing that I wish they would allow us to do, is minimize that somehow. And now with everything dialed way down, let's try to get... So now it almost feels like things are too slow. And I don't know. As I said, it just feels like a weird drone to dial in and fly. And now if I want to go ahead and get out of this, I got to go back over here. Maybe I want to adjust this a little bit faster. Maybe this I want to dial in. I guess I just can't figure out the right settings for this drone to be able to fly really well. So I don't know if I am in the wrong flight mode, or let me get the gimbal adjusted a little bit faster. There should also be something with this where you can dial the gimbal in on the display somewhere, because to have to go into that menu every single time, to me, is just a waste of energy. So let me go and try to do this guy again. Now it's really almost too slow. My right stick is all the way to the far right, and it's like barely moving. I'll raise the gimbal up a little. And I don't know, as I said, I just have a hard time flying this drone, so there's that. I feel a lot of the settings are just kind of hard to get into. Like I'm always fumbling around in the app, like clicking out of stuff and then clicking in the screens, and just having to do a lot of work. If I got to switch over here, maybe I want to get out of color mode. Whoop. I want to get out of color mode and shoot log, for example. I don't know. It just seems, as I said, like this app is a lot of work to go ahead and navigate the correct way. But that's me, and maybe you guys have a better experience. Let me go in to try to see if I can change. So see, right now the same thing is happening. I go into manual focus and it's not pulling up those controls. So you see it's a real issue for this, at least, because basically manual focus is not even an option because I have no way of adjusting the manual focus. So there definitely is a known bug with that. Let me go ahead and now dial in the shutter speed a little bit. And you can use the little dial on the right side of the remote, so there is that. And once you kind of get familiar with that, it will help out a little bit, speeding through the settings. I don't know, a lot of the settings seem to be really kind of frustrating. And even with still photo mode, same kind of thing. Say you go ahead and shoot hyperlight. It's going to go ahead and change your format. It's going to automatically switch to the JPEG only. It's going to switch your resolution. It's going to switch everything, your aperture. So it basically adjusts everything. Now if you go back and you shoot single burst mode, not, oh, actually it did revert back. So it did at least go JPEG plus RAW. And for example, too, if I have it set to log in video mode, which makes sense, it's still set to log in still photo mode. So why would I want that? That's really, to me, an annoying thing that should just revert back. I don't give a crap about log when I'm shooting raw photos, but I gotta go now and adjust my resolution again to get the right file size. And basically all of this kind of stuff you gotta deal with the entire time. So just kind of a weird app to navigate and something that I'm not really vibing with. And I think, honestly, Autel should really come up with a brand new app similar to a Fly app in its simplicity, because this thing just kind of feels real clumsy and not fun to navigate and fly with. So again, you guys can let me know what you think. This is just a little quick blip on what I'm experiencing. And as you see, as I said, if I go back into video mode and I go to autofocus, let's see what happens this time. Oh, the controls are back up. So there is that. Very inconsistent. And you can see in the red, if I scroll, what's going to be more in focus. And the only way to see, if I go over here, I got to actually tap on the numbers. So I can't just scroll, I got to actually click. So as you see, that's going to make everything way out of focus. Click over here, more in focus. Click maybe over here. There you go. Now I'm starting to get the focus that I desire. And that's probably where I want to be, like right before 45. And that looks pretty good for what is in focus. But again, buggy, kind of clumsy to navigate, and just something that I think could be really, really improved upon. And I think that's something Autel should be focusing on. You know, they can have a smart controller and cool drones, but if the software is not up to speed, as we all know, that can really be a big hindrance and kind of make the experience completely not fun. So Autel, hope you're listening, and hope you guys put some energy into this app, because I believe it does need some love. So that's it, guys. I'm going to land, and we will see you on the flip side. Bye.